There are a lot of wonderful fish in the aquarium hobby. However, there are a lot of cool fish that are very rare and hard to find. Today I'm going to give you some pointers on how to find and purchase rare fish. Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Zenzo from Tazawa Tanks. Now, as you saw in that little B-roll intro, easy for me to say, B-roll intro. Bum, 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 bum. Anyway, in that intro, you saw some of my fish. Some of those are rare. A lot of you have asked me how to get some of those. And some of those might not be very rare where you live, but they are rare in my area. So we'll kind of cover both rare fish and fish that are hard to find in your particular area. Now, first off, what I want to cover is what exactly is a rare fish, because a lot of people might have a different idea on what constitutes a fish being rare. So we'll kind of cover a few different things. Now, first off, a fish that is rare may not necessarily be not available in the hobby. It just might be a fish that's not available in your particular area, whether it's your city or state or etc. So, for example, like, do you have hard water where you live, or do you have soft water? Let's say if you have hard water, maybe there's a lot of people that keep African cichlids and live bears and things like that. So certain softer water fish might be harder to find because the stores don't keep them. Or on the flip side, if you have soft water where you live, then it might be more difficult to find some of those harder water species of fish because they're not as popular due to the type of water in your area. Another reason that certain fish may not be kept is because of space. So for example, I live in San Francisco, California. It's a densely populated city. Space is at a premium, and it is expensive to have extra space like this here. So a lot of people that live in cities that are densely populated, they might gravitate more towards smaller aquariums, nano tanks, and some larger species may not be as prevalent in those areas because people just don't have space for 180-gallon tanks, 240s, etc. So you're going to find a lot more on the nano species side and not so much some of the larger fish where you have to kind of travel outside of your area to find those. So that's another reason that some fish might be considered to be hard to find where you live. And then there could be other factors like what your local aquarium club, kind of what people keep and what people are excited about in your area. It might be like, certain fish stores that specialize in certain species of fish. It might be economic demographics, or it might be that you don't have local fish stores and you only have those big box stores, which only carry kind of a limited selection of fish. So it's harder to find some of those other fish that you might want to keep. Additionally, a rare fish could be something that's not necessarily very rare, but very expensive. So you might have a fish that's like $150, $200, and it might be something that you can find pretty easily, but you're not going to find it locally because stores are not going to stock a $150 or $200 fish in most cases. Now, if you have a specialty store, store that kind of specializes in exotics and things like that, yeah, you'll probably find them. But in a lot of areas, a fish store is just not going to carry a $200 pleco or something when they can carry 200 tetras for that same price of one fish. So in a lot of cases, that might be kind of economics and what stores are willing to carry. But lastly, a rare fish is just that. It's just a fish that's rare. It's hard to find, whether it's in stores, online. It might be due to a fish that's difficult to breed. So, certain fish are harder to get to spawn. So it might be that type of situation. It might be something that's, wild caught. And obviously right now things are difficult to get because shipments and things like that are delayed, but it just might be a fish that's just hard to find. So today we'll kind of cover how to get some of these fish and some of the resources that you can use to find them. So now that we've talked about what a rare fish is, let's talk about how to find rare fish. So the first stop that I would make, and the one that I would put at the top of the list, the most recommended preferred method, is to go through a local fish store. And there's a couple of reasons why, which we'll cover. So the first reason, obviously, is a local fish store is just that. It's a store that's local to you, and it's going to make things a lot easier. If they are able to bring in a fish for you, they have worked with the wholesaler, they have taken care of that fish, put it in an aquarium. You don't have to worry about shipments and temperature acclimations and all that kind of stuff. You just go to the store, pick it up, they give it to you in a bag, and you're good to go. Now, when a fish store is procuring fish, they work off what is called a list. And a list is just that. It's just a list of fish that are available to them. Usually it's from a wholesaler. Sometimes it might be a transshipper, but usually it's a wholesaler and they might be working with a farm. But they have some kind of business that they work with where they have a list of fish that they can look through and decide what to buy for their store depending on what they need. Now, what I would recommend is for you to talk to the store and say, you know, Mr. Store Owner, Mrs. Store Owner, Manager, etc. I am really looking for this type of fish, this type of pleco, this type of cichlid, and I'm willing to pay, you know, a good fair price for them, but I really want to find them and I'm having a hard time locating them. Can you get them for me? And they might say, I'll look for it on the list, or, you know, I'll keep my eye out. And sometimes they'll make a mental note if they know you, or they might write something down with your information, which is better, right? Because then they're making a physical note where they've taken down your information, they know what you want, and then what they'll do is, hopefully, when they look at that list, they'll be able to see what's available, and if it is available, they'll put it on there for them to get. Now, they don't always get what they ask for. It just kind of depends on a few different things logistically, but they will keep trying, hopefully, to get those fish for you. Now, another reason why I would recommend using a local fish store is when you go to the big box stores, they're not going to be able to do that for you. It's probably an employee that doesn't even know what you're talking about or doesn't have the ability to make a request to the company to get some rare pleco or something. So 99% of the time, you're probably not going to have any success. Maybe once in a blue moon, you might have some employee that is a fish nerd and they're able to give you some ideas on where to get them. But pretty much those big box stores, they're pretty basic, let's face it. They're just there to kind of cater to the masses and kind of give us the generic stuff and not really able to get us some of those specialized things. Now, I don't want to hate on those big box stores because they do, you know, serve a need. And you know, when I'm going to get dog food or something like that, some dog treats, you know, I might grab a nearite snail or something from the store that I might need. But for the most part, they're not going to be able to satisfy your needs for rare fish. So going back to the local fish store, build a relationship, you know, talk to them, tell them what you're looking for, and hopefully, in most cases, because they really want to provide good customer service, they will find that fish for you. And I've done that before. I'll talk to them and say, hey, I'm looking for some night gobies. I can't find them, or I don't want to order them online. I would prefer this to get them through your store. And they'll say, yeah, we'll look at the list, and when they're here, they will we'll get them for you, and we'll have you come on in. So sure enough, about 3 or 4 weeks later, they called me up. Hey, Zenzo, your 4 night gobies are here. Come on down and pick them up. And so it was that easy, and that is working with a local fish store. The next method I would suggest is probably the one that most people are going to do, even though I say to go to the local fish store first, and that is to shop online. Now, first off, I will say that if you've never shopped for fish online, I did make a video about how to do that, and I would recommend watching that video. I'll put a link up here if you're on mobile or your computer, or if you're on another device, there will be a link down below which you can click on and watch that video. That will kind of give you some pointers on how to find and buy fish online. Now, I will say that I'm not going to recommend any specific online retailer because I've only worked with a couple. I've had some really good experiences with some of them. I've had some horrible experiences with one in particular, so I would just say to do your research. If you're going to buy from an online retailer, just do your research. Look at their reviews, look at their Yelp reviews if they're a larger company, Facebook reviews, Google reviews, whatever it is. Just do your research, do your homework, and see if you can even reach out to other people, like via a forum or something, to see if they've purchased from that company before and what their experiences were like. So that would help to mitigate any potential problems from buying online. But buying online can be quite a great way of finding some rare fish. I would suggest things like Aquabid, which is kind of like eBay for fish. You can go on there and you can see what fish are available. They have it by category. You can go down to like bettas or plecos or whatever, African cichlids, and you'll see what's available. It'll have the seller's information like eBay and their rating and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good way of doing it. In addition, looking for some of those more reputable online retailers, looking at the reviews and seeing what they have available. I would suggest if you're going to buy from one of those, maybe pick up the phone or send them an email, especially if it's something that's quite expensive. If you're going to be buying a fish that's $50 or $100, you might want to talk to them first and say, just kind of have a better understanding and feeling of them being able to meet your demands. Some other online resources, like if you belong to certain organizations like the American Cichlid Association, they have like the Cichlid Room companion emails, and basically it's just like a list of what people are selling or wanting to buy, and there are other associations that have similar lists. So that would be one way to do it. And then also independent sellers and breeders. A lot of those will be on Aquabid, or they might have some other site or method of selling and advertising what they have. So a lot of them are really good. I have friends that do it. They do it right out of their garage. They have a whole operation with dozens of tanks, and they will breed fish, and sometimes they'll even import fish. They'll take care of them, they'll bag them up, they'll ship them to you, and a lot of them do a really good job. So that's another thing to look into. But if you are going to go that route, again, do your homework and just make sure that it's a reputable seller, they have a good track record, and maybe, again, reach out to them and communicate with them so that you know what you're getting. Now, the last method that I would recommend, which is also very helpful, and it kind of ties into those others, and something that I've done before with success, and that's putting the word out. Putting the word out and saying, I am looking for these fish. Does anybody know where I can get more of them or get some? And it might be at your aquarium club. It might be through a friend of yours that might have a contact at a store or a wholesaler, like if they're in the fish. Like hopefully your friend is into fish, obviously. It might be things like Facebook groups, aquarium forums. I'm part of a forum. I'll put a link to that forum down below that I interact with almost on a daily basis. So there might be someone on that forum that knows what you're looking for, knows where to get it, or has a suggestion, or bought it from somewhere before, so they can help you in that regard. Same thing with some of those other groups. So try those angles, put the word out. When I made a video a long time ago now, but I had to buy a bunch of African mud skippers for a project that I was working on for the local zoo. Unfortunately, that project got X'd out by the management of the zoo because of COVID and a bunch of changes, but so I ended up just keeping some and selling a bunch of those. But anyway, I basically put the word out, talked to one of my friends. That friend had a connection at the wholesaler, and next thing you know, a few months later, I had like 30 mud skippers. So putting the word out would be helpful, and it is something that I would recommend. And also, again, talking to the fish stores, talking to people online, that same kind of thing. They'll know, oh, Mary is looking for this, or Mike is looking for that. And just the more that you put it out there, the greater chance that you're probably going to find what you're looking for. Now, one thing that I do want to mention before I end this video is that make sure that the reason why the fish are not available to you is not because they are illegal. There are some fish that are rare, and they might not be available in your area because you're not allowed to keep them. So depending on what state you're in or what country you're in, there are certain fish that we just cannot keep because of the laws. However we feel about the laws, and we're not going to get into that in this video, the law is a law, and until the laws change, you have to abide by the law. So I do not recommend buying a fish or trying to find a fish and bringing in a fish that is illegal where you live. I just don't think it's worth it. There are too many ramifications. If you get caught, you could be fined, you could do jail time. It's just not worth it. So that's why every fish that I keep is legal to keep. Obviously, I'm on camera, so it's a little bit different. But still, I've been offered fish that are highly coveted that I would love to have, but they're not legal here in California or even in the United States, so I had to pass and say I can't do it. I'm sorry, but thanks for the offer. So just make sure that what you're doing is legal, and I just want to put that out there. So I know that I kind of rambled on. It's a little bit longer a video than I intended to make. I actually filmed this entire video yesterday and used my teleprompter, but there was a problem and the image was not so great, so I said, forget the teleprompter today. I'm just going to do it off the cuff, and that's why it's a little bit longer, because I'm not sticking to the script. So anyway, I hope that this video was helpful for you. Do me a favor and comment down below if you've tried any of these methods, or if you have another method that I didn't list that you would include as far as how people can find rare fish. So these are the ones that I've used, word of mouth, going online, which I've had good and bad experience with, talking to my local fish stores, talking to friends. So lots of different ways of getting them, but I would love to know what has worked for you. And also, since we are talking on the subject of rare fish, comment down below if you are looking for a rare fish that you haven't been able to find, because maybe someone that's reading your comment, watching this video, will see it and will also be able to help and give you some advice. So if you like this video, do me a big favor and give it a like. It may not seem like much, but it is quite helpful, and especially now with the algorithm for YouTube. So give it a like, and if you've made it this far, which is, I don't know, quite a few minutes into this video by now, that means I guess you found it interesting or information, educational, whatever. So subscribe. If you haven't done so already, please do consider subscribing. That's all I had for now. Thanks for watching, and We'll catch you on the next one.